Welcome to our channel, where we explore the intricacies of wealth management and retirement planning. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and often overlooked phenomenon: why 75% of millionaires experience a significant lifestyle cut after retirement, despite having accumulated substantial wealth. This isn't a story about poverty or financial distress. It's about the gap between expectations and reality, and how even the most successful individuals can be caught off guard. To set the stage, let's consider a typical high-income earner, someone who spends around $400,000 annually. This individual has grown accustomed to a certain standard of living, which includes luxury items, fine dining, international travel, country club memberships, and premium entertainment. They've worked hard, earned well, and built a net worth that most people can only dream of. However, when they retire, they often find themselves facing a 20% to 30% reduction in their lifestyle spending, a significant adjustment that catches them completely unprepared. But why does this happen? According to a comprehensive study by the Spectrum Group, which analyzed the retirement patterns of over 1,000 millionaires, 75% of these individuals didn't anticipate this lifestyle cut. And remarkably, it's not due to a lack of wealth. In fact, these individuals have amassed a significant amount of money, often in excess of $2 million. So what's driving this seemingly counterintuitive phenomenon? Let's start with the primary culprit: taxes. According to Thomas J. Stanley, author of the seminal work The Millionaire Next Door, taxes are often the single largest expense for the affluent, and they can have a profound impact on one's standard of living. When you're working and earning $400,000 annually, you're paying federal income taxes at the highest marginal rate, but you're also earning active income, which creates deductions and business expenses that offset some of that tax burden. When you retire, your tax situation changes dramatically. Consider this specific example: a corporate executive retiring with $5 million in assets might have been earning $500,000 per year while working. Now their retirement income comes primarily from their investment portfolio. If they need $400,000 annually to maintain their lifestyle, that income must be generated through withdrawals. If $300,000 comes from qualified dividends and long-term capital gains, taxed at favorable rates, and $100,000 comes from IRA or 401k distributions, that $100,000 is taxed as ordinary income. But here's the catch: those IRA distributions trigger Medicare premium adjustments, potentially push them into higher tax brackets, and can cause up to 85% of their Social Security benefits to become taxable. What seemed like a sustainable $400,000 withdrawal might require $500,000 to $550,000 in actual portfolio withdrawals to account for the increased tax burden. Another critical factor is the impact of inflation on fixed retirement income. David Bach, author of The Automatic Millionaire, notes that inflation is a silent killer of wealth that often goes underestimated in retirement planning. Historical data shows that inflation averages around 2.5% to 3% annually, but for specific spending categories, it can be much higher. Healthcare costs have historically inflated at 4% to 5% annually, far outpacing general inflation. For someone who might spend $80,000 per year on healthcare at retirement, that amount could grow to $130,000 within 15 years if healthcare inflation persists at historical rates. Most retirees fail to adequately plan for this reality. Beyond the financial mechanics, there's a profound psychological dimension that experts often highlight. Dr. Ken Ditchwold, a renowned expert on aging and retirement who has conducted longitudinal studies on retirees, notes that retirement is a major life transition that can have a profound impact on one's sense of purpose and identity. When you're working, you have a sense of structure, meaning, and daily purpose. Your income reflects your value and status. You maintain an image and a lifestyle that reinforces your professional identity. When you retire, that structure disappears. Many retirees report an unexpected sense of loss, which can actually reduce their desire to spend. Some research suggests that up to 30% of the spending reduction in early retirement is attributable to these psychological factors rather than financial necessity. Let's examine a detailed case study to illustrate these interconnected factors. Meet John and Mary, a couple who retired with a net worth of $5 million and a clear plan to spend $400,000 annually. John had been a senior consultant earning $550,000 per year, while Mary worked part-time as a marketing director, earning $150,000. Together, they maintained an active lifestyle. $80,000 annually on travel, $50,000 on dining and entertainment, $30,000 on a second home mortgage, $60,000 on 2 luxury vehicles, and $40,000 on various memberships and hobbies. When they retired, their plan was straightforward: live off their investment portfolio. However, reality intervened. Their $5 million portfolio generated roughly $75,000 in annual dividends and interest, not nearly the $400,000 they needed. They would have to withdraw an additional $325,000 from principal annually. But that $325,000 withdrawal, combined with their dividend income, triggered unexpected tax consequences. Their Medicare premiums increased by $4,500 annually due to income-related adjustments. Their tax bill climbed to $95,000, far exceeding what they'd anticipated. Additionally, John struggled with the loss of his professional identity. He found himself hesitant to spend on travel and entertainment, feeling somewhat guilty about indulgence without the corresponding income generation. By year 2 of retirement, their actual spending had dropped to $320,000, a 20% reduction they never planned for. Research from the Employee Benefit Research Institute provides broader context. Their comprehensive study of 4,000 retirees found that average spending in the first 2 years of retirement is typically 10% to 20% lower than expected, and this gap widens over time. The study revealed that while some of this reduction is planned, eliminating work-related expenses, most of it is unplanned. Now, let's address some counterarguments to this thesis. Some financial advisors argue that millionaires should be able to maintain their standard of living in retirement given their significant accumulated wealth. This perspective suggests that a $5 million portfolio should easily support $400,000 in annual spending using the 4% rule, a guideline suggesting you can withdraw 4% of your portfolio annually without running out of money. However, this advice doesn't account for several real-world complexities: taxes on those withdrawals, sequence of returns risk during market downturns, inflation over 30-plus-year retirement horizons, and unexpected major expenses like healthcare or family support. Others argue that millionaires should simply spend less and save more during their working years. While theoretically sound, this is psychologically challenging. Many high-income earners have spent decades building their lifestyle incrementally. As their income increased, so did their spending. Breaking this pattern requires deliberate effort and often feels like deprivation, even when unnecessary. So what strategies can prevent this lifestyle cut? First, accurate retirement income planning is essential. Rather than assuming you can spend a percentage of your assets, work backwards from your desired spending level. If you want $400,000 annually, calculate exactly how much portfolio you need to generate that amount after taxes, accounting for your specific tax situation, state taxes, and Social Security integration. Second, consider creating multiple income streams. A sustainable approach might involve $150,000 from Social Security benefits, $100,000 from a dividend-focused portfolio drawing from tax-efficient accounts, $80,000 from rental property income, and $70,000 from a systematic withdrawal from your portfolio. This diversification reduces the tax impact of any single income source. Third, tax optimization in retirement is crucial. Strategies like strategic Roth conversions, tax loss harvesting, charitable giving through donor-advised funds, and qualified charitable distributions can reduce your tax burden by $10,000 to $30,000 annually for high net worth individuals. David Bach emphasizes that alternative investments, such as private equity or hedge funds, can provide higher returns, but they require careful planning and understanding of their tax implications. Fourth, address the psychological dimension proactively. Work with a financial advisor or therapist to redefine your post-retirement identity before you retire. Plan meaningful activities, volunteer opportunities, or consulting work that provides purpose without requiring full-time employment. Retirees who have clear values and purposes report higher life satisfaction and more stable spending patterns. Fifth, build inflation protection into your portfolio. Consider dedicating a portion of your portfolio to inflation hedging assets, real estate, treasury inflation-protected securities, TIPS, or commodities. This can help offset the erosion of purchasing power over a 30-plus-year retirement. In conclusion, the phenomenon of millionaires experiencing a lifestyle cut after retirement is indeed complex, driven by a multifaceted interplay of tax consequences, inflation, psychological transitions, and planning oversight. However, this isn't inevitable. With careful, comprehensive retirement planning that accounts for taxes, inflation, income diversification, and psychological well-being, you can maintain your desired standard of living throughout retirement. The key is to plan proactively, not reactively, and to understand that retirement is as much about